Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back to Real Estate Coaching Radio, your unfiltered, full-strength honesty for all things real estate. And I am your host, Tim Harris. And, of course, Julie Harris is on the show as well. So, Julie, welcome back.
Hi there. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So it has been a pretty incredible week, I have to say, overall, with all the news about home sales, with all the news about really all the different, the portals, the Zillows and the Trulies and the Realtor.com, all those finaglings, all that Mickey Mouse, all the best, that, and the other. But the story that really jumps out at me more than any other is a story that actually came out this morning that basically said that pretty much every housing tracking expert believes that half of the sales that would have happened already this year have been pushed back. In other words, they're going to be starting in the next 30 days going forward. So what you guys would have been experiencing in terms of new listings and buyer activity and new opportunity, blah, 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 over January, February, and March hasn't happened. Half of it hasn't happened statistically because of the weather. That was the main reason. Builders didn't build. Sellers didn't put their houses for sale because they weren't able to decide on what house they were going to, replace their existing house with. Nothing for buyers to buy. The whole process had just stalled out, and guess what's happening now? The ice has literally thawed. The flowers are blooming. The opportunity is back, and you guys should see a very significant boost in your business happening. I would say for most of the country it's probably already started, but realistically, for the next 3 months, now pay attention to what your coach or your future coach, depending on where you are in the cycle of having us be your coach, the reality of it is that we know that what happens, there will be natural slowdowns, so expect them emotionally, financially, plan for the normal bumps in the road. Housing is something that people look into when they're not at work, when they're not spending time on family vacations and whatnot. So what are we going to be dealing with going forward over the next few months? And again, mentally and emotionally, expect little slowdowns around tax time next month. Expect little slowdowns when kids get out of school in early June. Expect a slowdown, a normal cyclical slowdown, when kids go back to school August, September. And then, of course, you have 4th of July, which is usually a week where people aren't really going to be in housing mode. And then as we go into the end of the year, then there's the holidays and whatnot. So as you're looking forward, mentally and emotionally, prepare yourself. And I'll tell you what's more is you should also schedule yourself for downtime when you know it's going to be slower in your real estate business. I mean, let's be honest. Something happens the week of Halloween, and sometimes it's 2 weeks, that causes pretty much every real estate agent just to decide not to work anymore. I'm not quite sure why Halloween, but it's true. And I think for a lot of people, Halloween marks the beginning of the holiday season. Whereas,
the free candy.
When I was that's right, free candy. But when I was growing up, it was Thanksgiving that sort of marked the beginning of the holiday season. But now I think it's Halloween. So moral of the story, guys, is this spring into the early summer is going to be a fantastic housing market. For virtually everyone and virtually every market, it's going to feel like a boom. Be mentally and emotionally ready to work your butts off. Going forward, don't be surprised when there's other little bumps in the road like the ones I just described, because that's a normal part of the year. And furthermore, guys, prepare your family, your loved ones, your friends, and everyone else. Let them know now that, hey, I'm going to be working really hard for the next 90 to 120 days, and so if I'm not as responsive or I'm not as attentive to you as I'd like to be, please understand it's because realistically I have 90 to 120 days to really make a bulk of my income. So that's the way the real estate business works, guys. That's the truth. That's what you should be ready for, and make the most of this opportunity. As the farmers on the call will listen and know, make hay while the sun is shining. So, Julie, what do you have? Today we're talking about focus. It's a topic we touched on yesterday. And focus, Julie, stands for?
Follow one course until successful.
That's
which
right.
Everyone
so
should write down since that's the topic.
That's right. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So before I do, Julie, do you have any interesting experiences, any stories to tell from your coaching schedule? You always have something good to relate to these guys.
Well, I'll tell you, it seems very consistent right now amongst my private one-on-one coaching clients that they all have anywhere from a handful to some of them have over 10 up and coming, already signed, ready to launch listings, which, goes hand in hand with your story, your news story that you were reporting at the top of our call here, that we have that backed up business from having weather events and whatnot in the first quarter. So I've never seen so much inventory about to hit the market, and that's good news for some of you guys who are still buyer dependent looking for something to sell. But it also reminds all of you that the listing agent wins, and that's why we talk so much about becoming a powerful listing agent. So that would be the consistent theme that I've seen over the past week.
Yeah, me too. I agree. The listing agent wins. I definitely will agree with you on that point. And also there's huge, huge pent-up everything that's going to be coming your way. So, guys, come on, be ready. If you need help preparing for a really lucrative market that will be be coming to your market soon over probably the next 90 to 120 days. Hopefully it'll last longer, but I'm expecting there to be a real surge. If you need help preparing for that, knowing what to do, what not to do, and that, by the way, that's the topic of today's call, really what to focus on, what not to focus on, do yourself a favor and request a free coaching call. Everyone here at our coaching business loves to do free coaching calls, loves it. I love to have the opportunity. And when I'm talking with one of you guys directly in 30 minutes to do my best to have an impact on your lives. I mean, when we do a free coaching call with you guys, what happens is that you will come to the call after answering 5 short questions when you schedule your own call. And then what happens is those 5 short questions are the framework for what we focus on during your free coaching call. And when the coaching call ends, you'll have a very specific, no more than usually 2 or 3 things that you need to be drilling down on, that you need to be focusing on in order to get the most out of the opportunity that lies ahead of you. It is so easy, now I'm rolling into what we were talking about for today's show, focus. It's so easy to be distracted, to be, sold into, lulled into, believing that, this, that, or the other is going to be what you need to do in your real estate business. It's so easy to believe that some little system is going to be your silver bullet that you've been looking for. And so, what happens is you guys will essentially bet the farm on 2 or 3 of these little passive ideas that you have or you've come across, and sure enough, they don't work, and you've invested lots of valuable time. This is not the time of year to be doing anything speculative. Listen to what your coach is telling you, please. This is not the time of year to be doing anything speculative. This is the time of year where you do what you know works. Do you do the testing and the tweaking and the new websiting and the this, that, and idea, marketing and all this stuff in the fall? You don't do it now, okay? This time of year, you have to be focusing all your best energies on the things that are going to put you in a position to be of service to others and get you paid, okay? Do not be distracted, especially, like I said, now through realistically July. Julie, do you want to drill down on that point?
Yeah, I'm going to make something very clear, but everybody needs to either mentally, visually do this or actually take out a fresh sheet of paper. This will take about 30 seconds to make this point. Fresh sheet of paper and nothing else on it. You're going to write in the upper left-hand corner point A, and then in the upper right-hand corner point B. Now, point A represents where you are now, and B is where you want to be. Okay, pretty easy, right? Where I am now, where I want to be. And you might even put a dollar figure down there, what you made last year, what you'd like to make this year, something like that. And then you're going to take your pen, and right now what I want you to do is just make a squiggly line, and it starts and stops a lot. It takes up virtually the whole page. You can have jiggity-jaggedy lines, maybe a lightning bolt here and there, and you pick up your pen, you put it down, and eventually, like 2 minutes from now, you wind up on point B, okay? This is the typical agent path of the sampler who goes from thing to thing to thing to try it out and see if this will finally be the magic bullet that gets me there, if they ever get to point B. Now, turn the page over, and you're going to do the same thing.
Go ahead. Let's leave them in suspense. Suspense. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I do. But we're going to take a quick commercial break so I can make a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, we're going to pick right up where Julie just left off.
Sounds good.
Is coaching right for you? And how can I guarantee it will work for me? Chances are you are asking yourself those questions right now. I'll answer those critical questions for you in just a moment. But first, let's be honest about something you may have always suspected. You've probably always known that the nation's top 1% of realtors, those millionaire agents you see on TV, they possess a secret knowledge that the other 99% of agents do not have. Where did they learn what they know? And more importantly, how did they learn how to put this closely guarded information into money-making action? It's simple. They have a coach. Not just any coach. The nation's mega millions, top 1% of the realtors know that in order to maintain their almost unfair advantage, that they must have their own personal coach. A proven, market-tested coach who has truly walked in their shoes. A coach who has worked with many of the nation's leading agents. At this point, you're probably ready to maybe try coaching. However, you don't want to be unfairly locked into a long-term ball and chain that coaching contracts can give you. It just makes sense that you should be able to try it before you buy it. Even more importantly, you want to have a coach who is the best of the best, not someone who is simply assigned to you or, even worse, has never sold real estate. Can you imagine? If this is you, I have something for you right now that is exactly what you have been looking for. For the next 48 hours, Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching is offering you a free coaching call. This is a real coaching call with a real Tim and Julie Harris coach. Now, while you are thinking about it, why don't you visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Once again, that is freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, let's be clear. This exclusive coaching opportunity is only available for the first 50 realtors who are stone cold serious about their real estate business and know that in order to succeed at the highest level, they must hire a coach. So don't wait any longer. Take action now and visit us again at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
All right, we are back. And again, guys, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. I know a lot of you are connecting with us through the free coaching call widget through this radio show. You're listening to the radio show. But I have to say, Julie, the number of people that are reconnecting with us after not having spoken with us for like almost 20 years is really pretty incredible, because we have a lot of people that knew us from Howard Britton. We have a lot of people that knew us from back when we were a National Association of Realtors Agents, where we got all that recognition our first year. This is 20 years ago after selling over 100 homes our first year. So it's wonderful to say, hey, Tim, Julie, you guys might not remember me, but I had one the other day, Julie. We met you. This is funny. I didn't tell you about this, Jules. I met you guys originally in New Orleans at the Howard Britton Star.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? And I said, that's the one where Stan Steinberg got mugged and had his watch stolen.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
his watch. That's right. Rochelle remember that. She was there. Yeah.
But isn't that funny though?
It's crazy. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
I love it too, because it tells me that it's nice to have kind of feel like we're coming home in a lot of ways,
Exactly.
So reconnecting with our old friends, please, guys, ask for a free coaching call. And obviously request a free coaching call with Julie or myself if you have a prior connection. And free coaching call priority is always given to current coaching students, of which there's thousands of you, and those
of any of our programs. Nothing specific.
Right, of any of our programs.
Yeah.
Right. And those of you who are ready to become a student, specifically a student in one of the real estate coaching essentials, advanced coaching, or the breakthrough coaching. So with that said, Julie, you have a lot of prepared information to share with these guys today about focus. So I'm just going to try my best to shut up and let you roll.
Well, sure. So we just drew this chart of the stopping and starting line, and it's jiggity-jaggedy, and it's, all over the place. And, if you were to stretch that out, it wouldn't even really connect, and it takes forever to get from where you are to where you want to be. And some of you guys can relate to that, because there are more people trying to sell you widgets and wadgets and the magic pill and the magic bullet and all these great things that will absolutely get you there, we promise. And so it's easy to become a sampler, is what we sort of lovingly nickname these types of agents, where they just go from thing to thing and they try it out, see how it goes, and they wait. And then when it doesn't work, they call those companies and they say, well, it hasn't worked yet. And the company says, well, you haven't spent long enough on it, which is an easy enough thing to say. And then they start believing, well, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to try this. And that's why it takes longer than you would like, and you spend more time and money and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, hopefully not blood, but certainly sweat and tears, trying to get from where you are to where you want to be. Versus if you turn your page over and you just simply draw where I am now, point A to point B, where I want to be, and draw a simple, straight arrow and label it FOCUS, F-O-C-U-S, follow one course until successful, which ultimately, even though you have to follow that one course day after day, which is known as work, not vacation, that's why we call it work, not vacation, ultimately, even though some days that seems like a challenge, long term, you actually get to where you want to be faster with less stress because you are focused. Does that make sense, Tim?
It does. But so the question that I wrote down while I was taking notes, hopefully all of you are taking notes too because Julie will check, is
right.
How do you know if you're basically being sold a silver bullet versus knowing that you are taking the direct path? That's the tricky part because you guys are now inundated with all these guys that are coming to town, come to my conference at this, shady hotel, or, so-and-so is going to be at our real estate office and they're going to tell us about their newfangled widget. So here's the rule for you. To know whether or not you're buying into basically the traveling snake oil salesman, which is very normal this time of year, all these guys are hitting the road, versus following a path that you know is going to get you to your desired goal. Here's the bottom line. Do your homework. Research it.
Yeah.
Don't take just because this person has convinced your broker or your office manager to be in front of you to tell you about their, whatever widget. Don't just assume that the person, your office manager or broker, has actually researched that person. I mean, we did the interview with Bill Bird this week, and you guys have got to go back and listen to that radio show. It's so awesome. So it's Bill Bird's radio show from just 2 or 3 days ago. So he was talking about how even though he's the number one Century 21 agent in Marin County in California, very competitive, incredible market, well, that particular Century 21 office pushes another coaching company onto all of their agents. And Bill was saying, well, listen, I know intuitively that I have to get to my chosen path the fastest. And what he did is he went out and researched that individual coach, and then he started looking out in the marketplace for who else was available. And what did he discover? That coach had never sold real estate before. That coach had, if you were to sign up with them, was going to assign you to somebody who never had coached real estate before. So he kept on going into more and more of this research, and then on his own he discovered us. He discovered that, hey, in the coaching business, we're the only ones that are doing what we're doing, certainly at the price point in which we're offering it, and everyone who works for us has to have sold coach or real estate at a high level. And Julie and I, as some of you guys know, have done tens of thousands of coaching calls at this point in our career. He did all of his research on his own. He went as far as to confirm that Julie and I had sold houses in the level in which we said, had earned the awards and the recognition that we said we did, the National Association stuff and all that, which is kind of an honor. So he did all that homework, and then he was able to make a decision. Versus what a lot of you guys do, unfortunately, the samplers, they'll just have somebody show up in their office, and they'll go to some hotel, and they'll get their free coffee and donuts, and then they sign up for the whatever. They walk out thinking, well, I've finally done something in my business. I have positioned myself for success. I'm making the move. I made a decision, and I'm going to start buying in this newfangled widget, and it's going to solve all my problems. Oh, by the way, a hallmark of all silver bullet salesmen, snake oil salesmen, is whatever their widget is that they're selling you is some sort of automation of what you should be doing manually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
set it and forget it.
Yeah, exactly. If someone tells you that their newfangled software or widget product is going to somehow solve a problem that's going to result in you not having to actually lead generate yourself, you need to run away because it's a gimmick. It just is. And there
not realistic.
It's not realistic. It's not real. There are thousands of gimmicks that are being sold right now to real estate agents. It's my firm belief, guys, that there are, especially some of these tech gimmicks that are coming out, they're just insane. But I think what happens is these guys sit around, think of some little, widget basically, and then they say, who do we sell it to? Aha, we'll try to sell it to realtors. And then they end up selling their little video marketing this or their, whatever. I mean, do your own homework, guys. That's the bottom line.
Well, but here's the thing. Let's be clear. We know this because we have been in your shoes, and we remember having the feelings and the thoughts and the concerns that you have. Where will our next deals come from? How can we automate things? How can we make our lives easier? That's how we know what you're going through. It's not because we're trying to bash any companies in particular. It's because we, too, have tried all of those things. We've tested them. We've tracked them. And we know what truly works and what truly doesn't.
Yeah,
that's the difference between having coaches that have done what you're doing. But go ahead.
But the truth
is
these guys know intuitively.
They do.
When they're being, yes. And they know that what we're telling them, for the most part, they all probably know that what we're telling them is the truth. But they still want to believe that there's a pill that's going to cause them to lose 10 pounds and have a six-pack abs.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? I appreciate that. We all want to make our lives easier. But, there has to be some proof in that pudding, though. It can't just be because somebody promises it.
Which goes back to the visual that hopefully all of them were writing down of the jagged road or the jagged line versus the smooth straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and, notice that in that line, I had them start and stop. And, we use the jet taking off analogy sometimes. You don't want to keep trying to take the jet off and then circling the runway all the time. You're never going to get to where you're trying to go. So how do you know if it's working? Well, you test it, you track it, and please don't spend thousands and thousands and month after month after month before you have that light bulb go off. That's part of the reason why they have you automate everything, because you'll forget. And then 2 years from now, you'll go, what about that whole postcard thing I was doing? I wonder whether that worked or not. Well, how do you know it works? Whether you have more listings and sales.
Well, here's a little secret for you guys. When you listen to any of our superstar interviews, and you guys know who our superstars are. A lot of them are Bravo TV stars. Number one agent in Florida, number one agent in California, number one agent in Ohio, number one agent in Arizona, the number one RE/MAX
Atlanta,
agent,
Marin County.
21 agent, the president of Keller Williams International, the president of the National Association of Realtors. Go listen to all of our superstars, our superstar interviews. There's just tons and tons of them. So I don't even know how many now, but lots. And we're going to be continuing to do this. We're going to try to do at least 2 or 3 of those a week. So here's what basically you will learn, that those folks do not waste a lot of time putting in place any system that's designed to cultivate an unmotivated lead. In other words, all these lead follow-up drip systems, they might have them in place, but they don't expect them to really produce anything. They know that the business that they closed on, in other words, if I were to say, top producer, look back at the last 100 units, tell me how many of those you cultivated, you had in a drip system, versus how many of those were A, leads, and you got them because you followed up right away, or you prospected an expired or for sale by owner, or you had a center of influence raise their hand and call you, versus some buyer that showed up at an open house and you just told them you drip information on them until they said uncle, right? So that's the first thing, is you'll know that none of the top producers really believe that any kind of long-term lead follow-up program designed to make an unmotivated lead into a motivated lead, they don't put any stock in those things.
You don't hear the word drip from them very much.
The other thing you'll notice is they do not spend hardly any time whatsoever talking about newfangled marketing ideas. They, I'll be honest with you, the newfangled marketing ideas that I'm seeing are just rehash of the ideas that were around 24, 36 months ago. And now opposed to being called, it's no longer called a software program, now it's called an app. But it's the same stuff just over and over again. So listen to the superstar interviews, and you're going to hear that what they do to be successful is unique to them, okay, that is true, is unique to their market, that's also true. But what it isn't unique, the element that's always the same, is they do not fall prey to silver bullet salesmen. They're not wasting their time on snake oil. They believe in hard work because they know ultimately it's going to get them to where they need to be. And that is the direct path, consistent hard work.
Well, it's not quite as sexy as buy my silver bullet, because the word work is involved. But as we saw from our chart, ultimately you're going to get there with a lot less pain It's funny because Pat Hyben was talking about that on when he was on our radio show, is that, it takes work. But, what's funny about that is it's actually easier than trying out and banging your head into the wall and being frustrated and waiting and all of these things and worrying about it and consternation. The work itself actually is a lot easier than all of those things. Being more direct about it. Sure, you can sign up for something that passively, allegedly communicates with, your list. Okay, but ultimately, actually talking to people is what matters.
So, Julie, as far as focus, what other points do you have?
Okay, so basically my chart was getting them there. Focus ultimately comes down to touching your spokes. We teach the spoke model. So what are your 4 or 5 minimum lead generators? Your schedule should reflect your pursuit of those spokes. So if you claim that you are someone who makes money with expireds, you must be spending a certain amount of time on expireds daily in order for you to call that a successful, profitable, duplicatable spoke. If you're not, then you're a dabbler. You're just trying things out. That's the difference. Your schedule needs to reflect both your goals and your spokes. And when you do that, your life becomes greatly simplified. Look at Bill Bird was talking about his schedule, how he follows that. And let me tell you, he does actually follow that almost to the minute. You would think that would stress out the normal person. In fact, that greatly simplifies his life, and his success stands on its own.
So, another reason I'm reading some of these notes and the emails that I've gotten, because we normally cover the common questions that we get, from our free coaching calls on our Friday calls, but I decided to focus on focus today. Another one of the things, the recurring themes that I see is folks wanting some external accountability. And it's always interesting. What I always ask on a free coaching calls, what do you think? What does accountability mean to you? Because you can't assume it means the same thing to everybody. And more often than not, you guys already know what you're supposed to be doing because you can easily look to see where your money's come from in the past. But you're just not doing the things that you know you're supposed to be doing because you're choosing to be distracted by all this other fluff. And so on our free coaching calls, oftentimes what you'll experience is a bit of a purging of all the stuff that's basically standing in your way of doing the things that you know will put money in your pocket. It is very confusing nowadays to be a realtor. There's no doubt. It is not easy to sift through all the Mickey Mouse that's out there because you want to feel like you're cutting edge. You want to feel like you're on the leading edge of what's being offered out there. You don't want to feel like other agents are somehow miraculously using some widget that you aren't aware of. So we're all led to believe that behind door number 2 is the solution to all of your problems.
Well, it does start with that thought that person's a top producer because they must have some secret sauce that I don't know about.
Well, but honestly, Julie, they do. I mean, honestly, a lot of the top producers do have secret sauce that you guys don't know about. That's true. I mean, that's what coaching is all about. That's what you have to, learn through, start with a free coaching call. We will get you down the path. I'll tell you something else that I'm seeing is a lot of you guys don't realize that what works in California doesn't work in, New York State, or what works in Tennessee won't work in, say, for example, Montana. The markets are too different. But it's not like it was during the boom or even before the boom. Everything now, the markets, the country, the demographics, the bifurcation that's happening at income levels, just everything. It's so completely different. You have to have really a focused approach, there it is, word again, focus, that is designed specifically for your market and, honestly, your existing skill set and the skill set that you'll develop when you're being coached. So hopefully that makes sense for everyone. We love doing the free coaching calls, so make sure you request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. So, Julie, anything you want to say as we wrap up?
Nope. I hope that they all wrote down on their forehead, their forearm, their mirror, wherever they're going to look at it every day, follow one course until successful. Quit bopping around like a pinball machine looking for what's next, and follow one course until successful. For many of you, that means hiring a coach and following the course that's laid out for you, and stop trying to reinvent the wheel every day. That's my parting thought.
And your homework, guys, if you haven't done it yet, is go back and listen to Bill Bird's radio interview. It's, I think, from 2 days ago. Maybe it was Monday. Anyway, it was just the past few days. Go back and listen to it. That's your homework. Have a brilliant weekend. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk with all of you on Monday.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.